Did you know that it's a sin to covet? Baby, I can help the fact you love it.
That was an intro to Oggy's song, Envy. I chose this song because it encapsulates how I feel about the jealous and the envious. I think Oggy, if I'm pronouncing that right, is really, really great at describing and expressing the feelings, especially the negative emotions, and also how they hold back the people that identify with them, and how they can be something to be aware of that might bring you down were you a more self-actualized person. So if this is a topic you'd like to hear about, sit back, relax, and let's discuss. Hello, and welcome back to Tando's Parlor, and I'm back again with another video. Let's start by discussing the definition of jealousy. Jealousy is defined as a feeling of discontentment aroused by someone else's qualities, their profession, or their possessions, or their luck, you name a thing. Jealousy is considered to be a negative emotion. Now, negative emotions aren't to be avoided, as we would have thought growing up, because they do feel uncomfortable. It feels uncomfortable in your body to sit with anger, resentment, jealousy. It can feel really yuck. And we know that people that are healthy or secure can have those feelings, but are able to cycle through them quite quickly, acknowledge where it's coming from, and not let it define them, and not let it make them act out of character or act in such a way that is actually more indicative of the fact that you are having said emotions. Negative emotions teach you about yourself. They teach you what you need to overcome. They teach you where your boundaries have been crossed. They teach you that you have aspects of yourself that you might not be presently or consciously thinking about that are wrong in some way. They don't fit. They need to be addressed, taken out of the closet, and overcome. When you can overcome negative emotions, you can usher in so much joy, so much comfort, and so much peace into your own life. First thing to do with jealousy, name it and acknowledge it. It's okay that you are jealous of someone. You were on TikTok, Instagram, you saw someone doing a little, reel or a video compilation of their favorite moments on their latest holiday. And you are immediately like, oh, well, if we all had money, wouldn't we just, there she goes again, wanting to show off. Who does she think she is? Does she think we all want to see that? A guy has posted about his latest set of Jordans because he's into shoes and he likes collecting them. And then you watch him post and you're like, why do people waste money on stupid things like Jordans when you can invest in stocks? Why would you wear beautiful Jordans and then go to X, Y, and Z area where they could get dirty? If I had those shoes, I wouldn't treat them like that way. It's all of these unhelpful thoughts, really, in the grand scheme of things. They can feel very right. They're very self-righteous in a lot of ways. A lot of the thoughts that we can have when jealousy arises. But first, you tell yourself, okay, I am jealous of X person. You let it sit in your body and you don't try to pretend. And you don't try to now go around espousing your gut reaction, your gut thoughts to this jealousy. Let it sit, let it ferment. journal about it, talk to yourself about it like you would talk to a friend. Understand where it comes from. So using the examples that we've already touched upon, are you jealous that that girl had the discipline to put away money and be able to take herself and her loved ones on a holiday? Are you jealous that someone's parents are generous enough, giving enough, and involved enough to be paying for their grown child's holiday? Because I'm just trying to cycle through a few scenarios, because just because she's on holiday doesn't mean she paid for it herself. Are you jealous that someone's man has paid for a holiday for her when you've been asking your man to pay for a holiday and he has flat out refused? He's not interested. He doesn't think you need it. He doesn't want to do it. So why should he do it for your happiness and comfort? A lot of the reasons that jealousy rears its ugly head: socialization, insecurity, and comparison. If you take that into account, write those down. If you have a particular person or scenario or situation that you're struggling with in terms of feeling the jealousy: socialization, insecurity, comparison. Are you comparing because this lady, oh, let's go with the man so people don't think that I just think it's women that are jealous. Are you comparing because you feel like you're both 30-year-old men and the other person has the ability to buy themselves the kind of shoes that they really, really like, and you want to have access to those shoes, and you feel like right now, with the way your finances are, you couldn't see a way to work that into your budget. So you're comparing, you're like, well, we're both the same age, we grew up in the same town. Why is it he's on his 10th pair of Jordans, and I have one or I have none, or whatever it is? Are you insecure? Do you struggle with feeling like you are worthy of nice things? And so seeing someone you know go on a lavish holiday is making you feel some type of way, because maybe you evaluate that this person is insecure, because sometimes a lot of people project. Maybe you think she's insecure. Maybe you think she should be insecure because of whatever it is that you've evaluated about her. So now she's doing something to invalidate the truth that you convinced yourself of. You've told yourself that people that look like her and me do not deserve nice things like that. They don't deserve to be taken on a holiday. They don't deserve to pay for a holiday. You have this unconscious, subconscious belief, because a lot of these things aren't even intentional thoughts, that only these other types of people are worthy of these kinds of things. They have to look a certain way, they have to behave a certain way. So you find it egregious that someone that you evaluated, evidently wrongly, that doesn't deserve a thing, now has a thing. And so now it's really getting your goat. What was the last one? Socialization. Are you upset at the man with the Jordans because you feel that his ability to buy himself whatever he wants at the drop of a hat is in direct conflict to your masculinity? Because masculinity, a lot of it in the modern day, a lot of what has come from like very old values, there's a real big thing about being able to be a provider. So are you feeling like less of a provider because you can't buy luxuries? Maybe you can only do necessities, and you feel that as a man you should be able to provide a full spectrum of things, and you're watching someone who's doing that very thing. Wherever it's coming from, don't be beating yourself up because it is one of those. That's just the beginning. We've really got to get into the shadow work, okay? Okay. Once we've realized what the lack is. You know, what are you struggling with? Where do you feel like your glass is half empty instead of full or even half full? Once we've picked, say, from those three, there could be more. Do your own research. This is just a little video, okay? Then we go, what can I reasonably do to come out of this feeling of lack? So, you're jealous that this woman, say she's paid for her own holiday. You might then realize it's because you struggle with money. You struggle with saving. And so it really irks you. It's not her fault, but you're like, I wish I could have the discipline to do that because I've always wanted to take myself out on a holiday. Okay, so now we know where it's coming from. What are the reasonable steps we can do to make ourselves feel like, one, we are equally as able to travel as that next girl, and two, what can make you feel like you are going to travel? It's just a matter of time. And it's not even a matter of a lot of time. It's a matter of time and planning, and you can get it. You can get what you want. Okay. Once you've done that, then we go, okay, I know that I'm the one who's struggling to handle my finances. So you might pick up a famous book, say, for example, Dave Ramsey. I know he's very controversial, and I agree totally. But he was certainly one of the first people that came up when I was trying to understand finances in my early 20s. So say you read Dave Ramsey's book, then you start watching a few, finance content creators that discuss budgeting. So then you get yourself on a budget. And in that meantime, you might get a term deposit. You could put your money there. You might, if you really struggle, I don't think there's any shame in knowing your weaknesses. You could ask your parent, I actually had an ex who did this, ask to give your money to a parent and have them safekeep it until such a time as you reach the desired amount. You could get, I've done this before, a high interest savings account, wherein if you wanted to get your money out, it would be several business days. And so it kind of makes you think twice before you just easily get money in and out. Right. So there's options. There's options. You might realize that you don't have a lot of extra income, but once you learn about finances, you might realize that you could maybe for a short span of time do a little side gig, maybe do some Uber, teach some guitar, whatever it is, and put any money from that side gig specifically into a pot designed for you to travel. Then you start thinking of your destination. If it was me, I'd go on Pinterest and I would have a whole board for the next place I want to travel. So this is like how you do shadow work. It's like a step-by-step process. Here's my problem. Where does it come from? What can I reasonably do to make myself feel more like I can have this? If you're jealous of a woman's looks, is it possible that your underlying issue is the sense that you don't feel like you dress well? And if that's the case, is there something you can do about that? Can you learn about color theory? Can you follow a stylist? Can you hire a stylist? If you feel like you're ugly, is it possible that maybe you're comparing, firstly? Beauty is a whole topic I have to talk about. I just wish people didn't get too much in their own heads because it takes all to make a world, and there's too many people on this planet for you to worry about your looks. And I've seen people that, I would have thought maybe weren't conventionally attractive. So many over my entire lifetime that have had partners and like healthy, loving relationships. It really is never that deep. But is it possible that you're not taking care of your skin? And if your skin looked clearer, it might boost your self-esteem. Maybe you are someone who's partial to white teeth. For me, I am okay with the whiteness of my teeth. I wouldn't whiten it any further, but my teeth are already super, 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 super sensitive. So I kind of feel like I would stuff something up there. But like, if you're partial to white teeth and that is something that you feel like is adds to someone's beauty, is that something that you could arrange? Can you get little strips? Can you go to the dentist and get a proper whitening? Like, what other things that we can do to help us have this not be a problem, or have us not focus so much on the lack and focus more on what we have? How can we change states from feeling like we're lacking something that is really important to us, our personality, and our value system, and marry that up with where we want to be? If you've gotten this far and you're like, sis, I'm still feeling resentment, so I don't know what you're talking about, then I want you to ask yourself this, and like, just have an honest heart to heart with yourself. Maybe even look at yourself in the mirror when you're asking this. If you still feel resentment, I want you to ask yourself, what makes you judge, jury, and executioner as to why this aspect of that person that you're jealous of, like, why is your opinion of jealousy more important than that person having that thing that you don't like? Why is it more important that you feel ugly than the fact that that person feels beautiful? Why is it more important for you to focus on the fact that you don't have XYZ and that person does? Why is it so important for you to attach yourself to negative emotions? Do you not want to feel more at peace? Because I tell you, when you learn to transmute your jealousy into admiration and work on yourself based on the cues that jealousy gives you, when you learn that, you become unstoppable. And you are actually less, honestly, when you work down to the root of a problem when it comes to shadow work, and you overturn it and you change your perspective on how you see it, from being negative to being positive, from being something that's against you and that means everything's against you, to something that is always working out for you, that is always for you, for your highest and greatest good. If you could do that, you're so at peace. You feel jealous way less. Like, I can't even remember the last time I felt jealous, to be honest. Like, not in like a real intrinsic way. Sometimes I will tell people I'm jealous because I'm jealous in the sense of like, oh, I wish I had that. Not in the sense of like, I have a crippling feeling that I'm going to ruminate on and it's going to inform how I treat you and how I see you. Those are very different things. I acknowledge when I'm jealous in like small ways, right? I'm like, I think my best friend actually today mentioned that she went to this amazing bookstore, sent me a cute little video of like how the book was wrapped and everything. And like, I love books, I love libraries, I love everything about it. And I saw that and I was like, I'm jealous because I wish I was there. I wish I went to see this bookstore. But am I going to think about it? Like, I just remembered that happened like right now. And I'm not going to think about it probably after this video. Do you know what I mean? So once you tell yourself that your feelings of jealousy aren't the be all and end all, and that you can turn anything negative into a positive simply by shifting your perspective, you come into personal power and you get closer and closer to self mastery. If that's not your thing, ignore me, but it is mine. I did want to give a little example of like how jealousy isn't even a reliable narrator. I've met and had friends that were really insecure. And what I've noticed in people and friends that I've had and that I've met that were really insecure is when they are discussing someone or something that they're jealous of, it becomes very two-dimensional. As a woman, I've experienced it a lot with women. And so insecure women will be upset at confident women because they're like, oh, everything comes to you easily. You make it look easy. You don't have to deal with X, Y, and Z. And that's simply not true. There's not a person on this planet that doesn't have to suffer for something. Do you think that pretty privilege only speaks to positive things that happen because people are beautiful? Do you not think that people being beautiful can make them taken advantage of, or want people to take advantage of them? Could they not be victims of assault and of people obsessing and stalking because they've got this idea that this is the person for them? Are they also just not a human being that would have childhood trauma, possibly have been in an abusive relationship? And also, as someone who, yes, in a lot of ways, I was born kind of extroverted, but, and I have been confident most of my life. But I get really upset when people get jealous of how I show up in public and in crowds, as though I haven't also worked to slay my own demons to be able to do said thing. It can be a little insulting that someone thinks I haven't put in effort to become more charismatic, to become a better orator, to become someone who, can handle certain situations. It's through practice, it's through trial and error, it's through embarrassing myself so many times. You're not in here, you don't see the amount of things that my brain reminds me of, that I was a scene of what I did back then, and I just, and then I tripped in front of this person, and like everyone laughed, and like, those kinds of things. That happens to everyone. And so I think a good reason to want to conquer and come to peace with your jealousy is understanding that it's not real. It's a subjective experience. And so just as you've like decided, whether consciously or unconsciously, to view this person in this way or this situation, you could just as easily, maybe not that easy, but you know what I mean, decide to just view it from a different lens and view it from a place that supports you and isn't against you. And a lot of your programming too, I want you to think, can be coming from your parents, especially as women. Our mothers can pass on so many negative emotions surrounding jealousy, anger, and resentment based on how they interact with the world. Excuse me. But when you work on yourself and you do shadow work, you might come to realize it's got nothing to do with you and your personal value system. If you try and work out and figure out what your personal value system is, when you realize that some of these things are because of socialization or parenting, you can be like, oh my God, that's on you. I can just give that back to you. I can move on and choose to look at it this way because that serves me now. And that makes more sense for who I am and what I believe and my own value system. Okay. Okay. We're almost there. Let's acknowledge what you do have. So, back to the woman trip situation. Maybe you haven't gone on a trip actually because you never told yourself that it was a priority. Like, you just got so used to, because it might not even be a money thing. I've met so many people with limitations, and that limitation wasn't money. You might have just gotten so used to the day-to-day routines, and maybe even it's coming from a place of you didn't think you deserved it. No one else in your family had done it, so who were you to come out and be the one to do the strange thing for the first time? But when you realize where it's coming from, you can conquer it, right? And so what do you have already that is going to bring more of what you want to fruition? So you might realize, oh my God, I have money. That is most people's biggest headache, but I have that. Okay, I can relax. Okay, I can just decide I want to buy the ticket and buy the ticket. Let me just arrange it with work and let me just start the process and see where I end up. If you're the guy with the Jordans, you might realize that you only got upset because maybe you hung around people that valued those things. But then you realize that you've actually got more dress shoes in your closet because of the kinds of events that you go to, the job that you have, and maybe you do like salsa dance classes, and so you wear like nice shoes. Like you might just realize, okay, Jordans are nice and everything, but are they even realistic to my lifestyle? And if I want them, maybe I'll save up for one pair. But at the end of the day, I'm not even doing anything that would require me, and I don't even lean towards wearing streetwear or whatever. I don't know if it's considered streetwear. Please don't come at me if it's not. I don't know anything about brands and stuff. You know what I mean? And so think about what you do have and be grateful for that. And then if you're like, yeah, but it's not enough for me to just be grateful with the present, that's when you channel your energy into action. So we've talked about planning. What are the steps that you can do to achieve the desired outcome? Then you do it. You don't just sit on your ass and hope that the jealousy goes away by itself, the money finds its way into your pocket, the Jordans materialize in front of you. You've got to go out and do the thing. You have to convince yourself when you're struggling with anything that you are worth you overcoming it, especially if in your logical brain, your logic brain tells you that this is not something that is comfortable. This is not something that makes me feel good. The reason I wanted to become the most confident version of myself and I worked so hard at it is because I was uncomfortable not being that. I didn't like being that. And I preferred the people in the room that were. Their energy was better. They were more fun to be around. And they had less of the anxiety. I wanted that for myself. So I went out of my way to do something about it. And so believe in yourself that you have the ability to want something, you have the ability to make it happen, and that you deserve it simply because you exist. I truly believe that's something that we need to hear more of. You are worthy just because you made it onto this material realm, onto this planet Earth, because you were born right here in this time and space. You are worth everything that you desire. And that's it for me today, my loves. I'll see you in the next one. Subscribe.